What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be doing the third and final part to our aero build video update. 2 weeks ago I posted a video where I walked you guys through my whitetail setup, my ultralight aero build that'll be running here in 2024. Talked about some of the various broadheads that we're planning on using. We followed that up and did a comparison of the Beast 2-inch broadhead, compared it side by side with the Sevr 2.0 broadhead. If you guys are interested in checking that out, you guys can go back on the channel and take a look at those. But being that that video did so well, it was very popular, you guys were very engaged in it, I feel like it's only fair that we do another follow-up and talk about the brand new broadhead from Sevr, which is their 1.5 hybrid. Now, as I mentioned in some of the previous videos, I've ran Sevr heads since 2018, 2019. I'm a huge fan of them. They're extremely durable and they are also very accurate. And the 1.5 has hands down probably been my favorite choice of broadhead that Sevr makes. You do sacrifice blood trail, but you get really good penetration. Sevr markets this as like their big game broadhead. So if you're going out doing any type of elk hunting. However, I've used this for whitetail, and like I said, I've had great experience with it, especially with getting a complete pass through. Now, I did shoot a deer in 2020. It was a doe, shot her at 30 yards. Now, the blood trail wasn't the greatest. It wasn't a blind man's blood trail. And I did see the deer drop within sight, but I followed that blood trail to see how it would progressively increase the closer I got to her. And like I said, you could definitely track the animal, but obviously it's not going to be the same as if you were to run a 2-inch. So that is the trade-off when you go with their 1.5. But here in 2024, Sevr has shocked me and probably shocked most of their consumers with the release of their hybrid broadhead. You're still getting maximum penetration, you're still getting the durability and the accuracy that Sevr is known for, but this year you are increasing the overall cutting diameter to 2.2 inches with the addition of the brand new bleeder blades. They stuck with the pivoting locking blade technology, which is something that I absolutely love on the Sevr broadheads. They still continue to use their practice mode, which for me personally builds a lot of confidence in the overall accuracy of these broadheads, because you're able to put a set screw in here and you're able to shoot the head that you actually plan to hunt with. Now, another really great thing about Sevr that I've experienced over the years is the consistency between broadheads that you purchase. Typically, they are always coming in right at that 100 grain mark, and if there is a little bit of variance between broadhead to broadhead, it's only like 0.2, 0.3 grains at a max, at least in my experience. So they do have really tight tolerances, they do have really good quality control, and they're ensuring that they're delivering you a very high quality broadhead. Now, another thing that I really like about Sevr heads in general, and we already touched on it, is the overall durability. And that comes from this being a single construction or a solid construction head, from the tip to the ferrule all the way down to the insert that goes into the arrow and screws in. It's all made of titanium. So again, very light, very durable. And then the blades itself are going to be a stainless steel. Now, what I like about the Sevr broadheads and the way that they deploy is there's not a lot of tension required to open those up. And in my experience, typically when they hit the deer and they explode open, it usually results in a much larger cut than what they're actually marketing. So it's to be expected that the entrance hole on an animal is going to be above or greater than that 1.5, and then as it starts to go through that animal, the blades will push back, they'll lock into open position, they won't be able to fold back, and then if you're not pivoting the blade, then you're going to maintain that 1.5 through the animal. Now, as we already mentioned, and we've talked about this before on some of the previous videos, is that pivoting blade technology is definitely going to be critical. If you hit any type of bone, it's going to reduce deflection. It's also going to increase your overall penetration. And in the Beast review video, where we were talking about the 2-inch, we used the example of shooting a deer basically dead center in between two ribs. Now, with the 1.5, what's nice about this is the cut is not wide enough to where both of those blades will make contact with both rib bones, whereas a 2-inch Sevr would. And then at that point, you really lose out on that pivoting technology, where the 1.5, you're not going to. It'll slide past, it'll pivot, and then once it clears that obstruction, it'll go ahead and reopen back up, and you'll get that full cut all the way through the animal, assuming it's not going to hit a rib bone on the way out and then pivot. So I haven't had any failures with Sevr broadheads over the years that I've ran them. They've been absolutely fantastic. And like I said, the biggest thing with Sevr is the overall accuracy and the confidence that you have within this head. Now, one thing that I would recommend is when you buy these, they are not super expensive. And what I always like to do is if I'm going to run 3 broadheads, I buy 4 just so I have a dedicated practice one. But keep in mind, if you do plan to hunt with this head and you run it in the practice mode, obviously these bleeder blades, you cannot lock those out, so they'll likely dull out. Sevr does offer a replacement blade kit. You get 3 sets of blades, and then you get 3 sets of bleeder blades, so you could set up 3 separate broadheads or repair 3 separate broadheads. But like I said, for me personally, I'll just order an extra one and have that be a designated head. Now, when looking at the hybrid versus the original 1.5, obviously the biggest difference is the addition of the bleeder blades, but you can also see that they did change out the tip design. Now, I reached out to Sevr because I knew that there had to be some type of benefit to this. It wasn't just an aesthetic look. And when talking with Sevr, what they explained to me is that this tip basically stretches that hideout once it makes contact with it, and when it stretches it and then deploys the blade, it results in a much larger cut than what's being marketed. And another thing that I noticed is, as you can see, the insert that goes into the arrow is a lot beefier than what it was on the original Sevrs. You can see that the original Sevr almost had like a tapered design, which allowed them to reduce a little bit more material, make the broadhead a little bit lighter, whereas their new 100 grain broadheads are maintaining that thickness, and then they taper down when they get closer to the screws. Obviously, that is definitely going to increase the overall durability, but keep in mind, if you want to run an original 1.5, I've never had one of these ferrules bend or the insert bend on me when hitting an animal. It's now in my beast review video. I told you guys one of the frustrations that I've always had with Sevr broadheads is when you go to put them in a quiver, specifically the tight spot that I run, sometimes you'll get the blades will start to expand on you because those tabs are so close to the front. Now, that is something that I've never dealt with on the original 1.5. This head is designed differently when compared to the 1.75 and also compared to the 2.0. And like I said, I've never had the issue of these blades expanding in the quiver. And the same thing goes with the SEVR HYBRID. You can put this into your quiver and you don't have to worry about those blades actually expanding. Now, in my other review video where I did the Beast Sevr comparison, there was a comment, and it was actually a really good tip. Someone mentioned double up the O-rings on your Sevr's, and it really reminded me of a tip that I learned a long time ago, and that would be to just run a secondary O-ring on your arrow and then basically run that O-ring all the way back to your fletchings. Obviously, it's not gonna make a drastic difference on the weight of your arrow, but if you run that all the way back to your fletchings and then you accidentally have one of the O-rings break on you out in the field, then you have one already positioned on your arrow or a spare on your arrow. You can just go ahead, roll this up onto the broadhead and put it back in the closed position. So that's just another tip. And it's not something that I practice all the time, especially with the 1.5s. But for those of you that are interested in running the 1.75 or the 2.0, definitely a tip that's worth bringing up. But other than that, that's going to be it for this video. If you guys have any other questions, you know that you can reach out to me through the comments. You can always reach out to me directly on Instagram. I'm always happy to help. If you guys have not subscribed, please do so. Your guys' support greatly helps us out, keeps us doing what we're doing. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you on the next one.